All right, so what it says right there under interior angles sum is it says the sum is the first word we're supposed to fill in. S-U-M, that's like adding them together, sum. The sum of the degrees in any polygon is determined by the number of triangles that can be drawn within that polygon. We're going to complete the table below, and we're going to look for a pattern on how we can find the sum of the degrees of any polygon. Everybody ready? What polygon do we have first listed? Well, if I have a triangle, there's only one triangle in that picture, correct? Okay. How many sides does a triangle have? 3. Okay. And again, how many triangles are there? 1. Okay. And then what is the sum of all 3 angles of a triangle? 180. So far, so good? Now, the next one is a quadrilateral. How many sides does a quadrilateral have? 4. And then when we're talking about the number of triangles, what you're going to do is you're going to pick one corner and you're going to draw to another corner that forms triangles. You already have the lines kind of drawn. It's a dotted line. So if you'll notice, we started in this upper left corner and we went down to that lower right corner. How many triangles did I make by doing that? 2. And then think about a quadrilateral. How many degrees does it have in it? 360. Okay, think about this. If each triangle is how many degrees? 180. So each one of these smaller triangles is 180. If there are 2 of them, 180 plus 180 gives me 360. Anybody have any questions so far? What is next? A pentagon. How many sides does a pentagon have? 5. Okay. And you'll notice the lines that we drew. We picked this corner over here and we drew to 2 other vertices and formed how many triangles? 3. Okay, so we have 5 sides and 3 triangles. So think about this. If each triangle is 180 degrees, use your calculator, and there are 3 of them, well, yes, the total number of degrees in a pentagon is going to be 540. 180 times 3, or 180 plus 180 plus 180. So far, so good? Hexagon is next. How many sides does a hexagon have? 6. And then if you look at our lines drawn, how many triangles did we form in this picture? 4. So if I have 4 triangles, 180 degrees each, what would the total degrees be? 720. Okay, so before we move on, I want you to look at 2 columns. I want you to look at the number of sides and the number of triangles. And I want to see if you can notice a pattern in the number of sides versus the number of triangles. So if I have 3 sides, that's 1 triangle. If I have 4 sides, that's 2 triangles. If I have 5 sides, that's 3 triangles. And if I have 6 sides, that's 4 triangles. Does anybody notice a pattern there? Number of sides versus how many triangles? Ronald, how'd you figure out the rest of it? What did you notice you were doing to the number of sides to get the number of triangles? Yeah. Oh, you just did it that way. All right. Yes, that works too, but nobody recognizes it. If I have 3 triangles and, I'm sorry, 3 sides in 1 triangle, what's the difference in those? 2. If I have 4 sides and 2 triangles, what's the difference in those? 2. If I have 5 sides and 3 triangles, what's the difference there? 2, right? If I have 6 sides and 4 triangles, what's that difference? 2. So do you notice how the number of sides is always 2 more than the number of triangles? Did everybody notice that? All right, a heptagon has 7 sides. Okay, we don't have this picture drawn, but let's try to use that pattern. How many triangles do you think you would have? 5. Okay, that's 2 less than 7. And then we want to think about this. If I have 5 triangles, each one of them is 180 degrees, what would the total sum be for a heptagon? How much? 900 even? Okay. What would an octagon, how many sides does that have? 8. And so how many triangles would that have? 6, for a total of 1,080. 6 times 180, right? A nonagon, how many sides do you think that has? 9. So that would be how many triangles? 7. And that would give me, thank you, 1,260 degrees. What about a decagon? How many sides would that have? 10. So how many triangles would that be? 8. And that would give me a total of, so if I can figure out how many sides a polygon has, I can figure out how many degrees it has because I can figure out how many triangles it has, correct? So it's the number of sides minus 2 gives me, and then times what? How much does each triangle have? One triangle has how many degrees? 180. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this. There is a formula, and don't worry, I'm going to give you this formula on your test or on your quiz. Your quiz is on Tuesday, by the way. Quiz on Tuesday. We have a formula that we can get the sum of the interior angles of a regular polygon. It says that n is going to represent the number of sides of a polygon. Okay, again, n represents the number of sides. Then we can find the sum of the interior angles found by this formula right here. So we're going to take n, that is how many sides we have, minus 2, and you'll notice I'm putting that in parentheses. My number of sides minus 2. That tells me how many triangles I have, and so then I'm going to have to multiply that by what? 180. Okay, so the formula for the sum of the interior angles is that formula that we just wrote right there. N minus 2 times 180. And again, I will give that to you. You don't have to memorize it. You just have to know how to use it. N minus 2 times 180. That is going to be the formula we're going to use here in just a few minutes. So far, so good? Then we need to talk a little bit about a regular polygon. A regular polygon is one which all sides are congruent. Therefore, all angles are also congruent. Okay. A regular polygon is one which all sides are congruent or equal, whatever you want to say. Therefore, all angles are also equal or congruent. So to find the measure of just one interior angle, so this is the difference, one interior angle of a regular polygon is going to be this formula. Starting off the same, n minus 2 times 180. But that just gives me all of them together. So to find out what one of them is, I'm going to then turn around and take that number and divide it by n, the number of sides. Think about this. If I have a quadrilateral, how many sides do I have? How many angles do I have? Okay. if I have a pentagon, sides? How many? 5. So how many angles? So you know that however many sides you have, that's how many angles you have as well? So to find one of them, I would find out what they all are together, and then I would turn around and divide it by how many I have, which is the same as the number of sides. So those are the two formulas that we're going to need to use for this section. Okay, so n minus 2 times 180, that's the first one. That is for the sum of the interior angles. That's for all of them together. And then the second one is n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. That gives me just one interior angle. So you have to you have to read the questions and make sure you're answering what they're asking for. Are they asking for the sum, or are they asking for one individual angle? Everybody ready? Okay. Let's take a look at this first one. Get my calculator ready. Putting those up there so we have them to look at. What is this first example asking me for? Is it asking me for the sum or for one? The sum. So we're going to use the formula n minus 2 times 180. Anything past 12 sides, they don't call it anything other than, like this one is called a 15 gon. They just put the number dash gon. So like 20 sides would be a 20 gon. 30 sides would be a 30 gon. So the only one that has up to 12 have special names that we would hear about. So what is my n? How many sides do I have? 15. So I'm going to plug it in. 15 minus 2 times 180. minus 2. What's 15 minus 2? Final answer is getting there. 13 is right. 15 minus 2, right? And then we multiply that by 180, and then we get 2340. Okay, 2340. Is that my answer? Yeah. Make a little bit of sense? It's just a formula you got to use. Go ahead and do the second one. Find the sum of the interior angles of a 21 gon. Find the sum of the interior angles of a 21 gon. Am I looking for just one or all? All. So we're going to use the formula n minus 2. What is n in this case? 21 minus 2 times 180 is going to give me a total of? Yep, 3,420, 3,420. Kind of straightforward on those, right? Just plug the numbers in and work it out. All right, the next example is going to require us to do a little bit more work. It says, find the measure of each interior angle of my pentagon. Find the measure of each interior angle of my pentagon. And if you'll notice, it gives me the measure of my angles, like H is 2x, J is 142, K is 2x, M and L are both 3x plus 14. Does that say it is a regular polygon? No. Okay, so we cannot use this formula. This formula only goes for regular polygons. So first question, how many degrees does a pentagon have? That's what we need to figure out first. Okay, 540. Remember, we can use the formula or we have it filled out on the other side. So for the total degrees, we do 5 minus 2 times 180, which gives me 540. Okay. That, however, is not my final answer. My question is asking me to find each angle in my pentagon. Everybody ready? So what do you think I should do with 2x, 142, 2x, 3x plus 14, and 3x plus 14? I need to set up an equation. So am I going to add those, subtract them, multiply them, divide them? Add them. So let's start. We're going to go with h. H is 2x. Plus, what is j? 142. Okay. Plus k, which is also 2x. Plus L, which is 3x plus 14. And then plus M, which is also 3x plus 14. Okay, I took each one of these, 2x, 142, 2x, 3x plus 14, and 3x plus 14. I'm adding all of those together. How much does that equal? 540. We just figured out that every pentagon has a total of 540 degrees. So we're going to set all of those equal to 540. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is find the total degrees. The second thing we have to do is add all of them together and set them equal to the total degrees. Now this is where we might have some issues, our equations. Some of us get a little tricked on these. Do you notice how all of your x's are over here on the left side of your equation? We're going to combine them. That means we're just going to add them as they are. We're not moving from one side to the other. So I want to add 2x plus 2x, which gives me, what's 2 plus 2? 4. Plus 3 more gives me 7. Plus 3 more gives me 10. So I have a total of 10x over here. And then I'm going to add all of the numbers that are not with an x. So let's go add 142 plus 14 plus another 14. And how much is that going to give me? 170. Okay. And that's going to be equal to 540. So finish solving this. Let's find out what x is first. That is, again, not my final answer. That is what I'm going to use to find the measure of each one of my angles. I'm just bringing it over again because I ran out of room. What did we guys end up getting for x? 34? Yeah. I got 34. Nope, I did not. That's a 7. That's a 7. Thank you. I did not pay attention to what I was doing. So we got 37? Okay. What do you think I need to do now to be able to find the measure of each angle? Plug it in, yeah. So let's start with h. Okay, so the measure of angle h, that is going to be 2 times x. We found out that x was 37. So what is that? 74, okay. We already know j, don't we? There's nothing to plug in there. Okay. What about k? What is k the same as? H. So we already found out that that is 74 as well. Then we're going to do the measure of angle L. That one says 3 times my x plus 14. So let's see, 3 times 37 plus 14 gives me how much? Three times 37 plus 14, come on. 125, okay. And then the measure of angle M, is that the same as L? Yes, I'm going to get that too. So what I want you to do is let's just double check. Take your angles. Take the 142, 74, 74, 125, 125. Add all of those together and let's double check and make sure we get 540. Let's just make sure we did this right. Add 142, 74, 74, 125, and 125 together. If you do not get 540, we did something wrong. You get 540. Everybody ready? So again, on that one, we had to first find how many degrees were in that polygon. Then we had to add all of the angles together, set it equal to that degrees, solve for x, and then plug it back in. It says Miguel has commissioned a pentagonal koi pond. Does everybody know what koi are? Fish, okay. Koi pond to be built in his backyard. He wants the pond to have a deck of equal width around it. The lengths of the interior deck sides are the same length, and the lengths of the exterior sides are the same. What is the measure of the angle of the pond formed by two sides of the deck? Okay, so basically all of that. Looking at our picture, does he want the sum of all of the angles or just one of them? Read that last sentence. What is the measure? Is it of the sum of angles or of one angle? That last sentence, what does it say? What is the measure of the angle? Is that one or multiple? That's one, right? So in this case, we're going to have to use this formula. In the definition or in the description in that paragraph, it tells me that my sides are all the same length. That lets me know it's a regular pentagon. So let's start with n. How many sides does a pentagon have? 5. Okay. So we're going to go 5 minus 2 times 180. But then once we get that amount, we're going to have to divide it by how many sides do we have? 5. Okay. Whatever you get from that is going to be our answer. Minus 2 times 180, and then we're going to again divide it by 5. That gives me what one of the angles are. 108 degrees. Okay, so you have to be careful with the wording. Make sure you're paying attention. Are they asking for one angle or are they asking for all of them together? That's the difference in the formulas. Now we're going to have to do a little bit backwards here. Everybody ready for the next one? All right, take a minute and read it. The measure of an interior angle, how many is that? 1. Is 144 degrees. It wants us to find the number of sides in that polygon. Excuse me. So if I'm talking about one angle, which formula do I use? The sum or the one? The one. Okay. What does it tell me that is? How many degrees? 144? So this is what we're going to do, is we're basically going to use our formula, n minus 2 times 180. Over n, but we're going to set it equal to what the actual angle was. What did again they tell me it was? 144. Okay, so this time we're kind of working backwards to figure out how many sides we have. They told me what the measure of one of the angles is, so I can take that and set it equal to the formula to find the measure of one angle. And I can solve this thing for n. First things first, do we want to get rid of that fraction? Yes. So I can do that by multiplying both sides by the denominator, which is what? N. So I'm going to multiply both sides by n. Okay, what happens here is this n cancels with the 1 in the bottom, just leaving me with n minus 2 times 180. Whoops. And 144 times n is just 144 n. Everybody ready? How do I get rid of the parentheses around the n minus 2? Even though it's kind of written backwards, what can I do with that 180? I can distribute it. I can multiply it by both the n and the 2. I'm going to come up over here and do that. Again, I'm multiplying this 180 to both of those so I can get rid of those parentheses. So that's going to be 180n minus 180 times 2 is 360. And that is going to be equal to 144n. Now, do you notice I have n's on either side? I'm going to take the n that's with the other number away from that. So I'm going to take this 180n and I'm going to subtract it over to the other side. Okay. I want to get that negative 360 by itself, get the n's away from it. What's 144 minus 180? Negative 36. Okay. So if I have a negative 360 equals a negative 36n, how could I solve for n here? Divide both sides by negative 36. What is negative 360 divided by a negative 36 give me? So guess how many sides we have? 10. Everybody kind of okay with how to work backwards there? Okay. I want you to try the last example. It's exactly the same thing. You're going to set it up exactly the same way we just did. Use your one angle formula, n minus 2 times 180 over n. Set it equal to what they tell you the angle is. We should all be working on this last example. We're close to getting an answer. All right, again, we're going to use the individual angle because it's talking about one angle. So n minus 2 times 180 over n equals what they told me, which was 150. Again, the first thing we want to do is get rid of that fraction by multiplying both sides by n. Then I want to get rid of the parentheses, so I'm going to distribute. Now what? Yeah, the 180 from the 360. Yeah, okay. Okay, every time you do this, you're going to want to get that negative 360 by itself. So you're going to move the end with it over to the other side, even though it looks backwards. What's 150 minus 180? Negative 30. And then if I divide both sides by negative 30, what is negative 360 divided by negative 30? 12. So we have 12 sides. Anybody have any questions? That's the last one, right? On the page? Okay. All right. Then we are all done. The paper I just gave you